So hello guys, and welcome to another video. And over the past year, we've gotten 3 Mario RPGs, 2 remakes, and 1 brand new original game with Mario & Luigi Brothership. And overall, it has been absolutely amazing. I've enjoyed every one of the games that have released over the past year within this Mario RPG renaissance. And Mario & Luigi Brothership so far is absolutely excellent. I would say it's definitely becoming my new favorite Mario & Luigi game. I was a little hesitant to say that at first because it was off to a slow start, but I'm about 23 hours in now, and it's definitely clicking with me. I love the story, I love the gameplay, I love the overall progression system and the way the game is set up. It is just amazing throughout, and I am really excited to see what the rest of the game has in store. But unfortunately, this game has been a little controversial lately, and really, most of the Mario RPGs releasing lately unfortunately had some kind of controversy involved with it. I know that's kind of something to expect out of most Nintendo games nowadays. You really have some kind of controversy out of every Nintendo game, but I guess it does seem it does hit a little harder for me when it deals with the Mario RPGs, because this is like my favorite kind of series of games, I would say. And it does kind of feel a bit unfortunate that there are some controversies going on with these games. But especially since a lot of them deal with very minuscule issues. But the first one with Mario & Luigi Brothership is the IGN review. While this game has been mostly well received across the board, I know a lot of people are saying, there's a lot of people who don't like this game. That's not really true. It has mostly been well received. Like, it has a good Metacritic score, and most people who beat it or have played a significant amount of it absolutely love it. Really, the only people who have problems with it are in the early areas of the game, from what I've seen. So, it is mostly well received, so the IGN review kind of seems like the exception here, but it has created a lot of controversy. I know we shouldn't care too much about reviewers, but reviewers can have a big influence on the perception and legacy of a game. And while I respect the reviewer's opinion here, unfortunately, I do feel like this led to a lot of people hating on the game. Like, a lot of people are just like jumping the gun and saying, "Oh, IGN was right. I didn't like the first 2 minutes of the game. It's bad." So I feel like a lot of the negativity has been caused by that. I'm not saying all of it. Some people do genuinely have problems with it, and I respect that opinion. But I do feel like some of it is due to IGN, because some people are like defending like IGN's review quite a lot, which is a bit weird. Like, for some games, I wouldn't really expect it that much for a Mario & Luigi game, but I don't know why people feel the need to just like hate on it so much immediately. But that's kind of beyond me there. But IGN kind of has manufactured some of this discourse, not the reviewer themselves. This was more like IGN like posting it multiple times on Twitter. It really seems like they were trying to like manufacture this discourse and kind of create something out of thin air, which is kind of unfortunate. I feel like that is really what IGN should be blamed for. Not necessarily the review itself, but more of like the way they've been handling it. But yeah, so I don't want to dwell on that too much. But another thing that some people have been bringing up lately, and is actually why I made this video, is because some people think the game won't sell well because the Japanese opening week physical sales were a bit lower than expected. And while I can understand the concern, I really don't think there's that much to worry about here, because that's really only one metric. I mean, sometimes that can be indicative of the game's overall sales, but not always. I feel like around this time of the year, there's definitely going to be a lot of Western sales due to like the holidays and everything. And then some people like will probably like buy the game in the next couple weeks due to like holiday sales and things. So since this is a Mario game releasing during the holidays that had a lot of advertising, I think this game could easily sell 2.5 million, despite the fact that it did have kind of lackluster Japanese opening week sales. I really don't think that's a huge concern there, like, because that is only, like, physical sales, while Nintendo's overall sales includes, like, digital sales as well, and a lot of people will be buying this game digitally, since there is a huge amount of people that are buying games digitally nowadays. So, I really don't think there's too much of a concern here. And I feel like a lot of people are buying into this too much, and are thinking that the lower sales are because of the IGN review, or because of the fatigue with other Mario RPGs releasing. The last one is kind of an understandable one, but I don't think that's really too much of an issue, because from a casual standpoint, Paper Mario and Mario & Luigi are like two different things to like a casual player. And I mean, sure, they will pick up on the similarities, but they still are distinct for a lot of people. So I don't think they're gonna really impact it too much, because it is kind of different than like a game in a single series releasing around the same time. So I don't think that's that much of an issue, but the IGN review being a cause of this, I think that's kind of crazy. I know some people do gauge whether they buy a game or not off of the reviews, but I think that is less common than people think, especially among like casual players and families and things. I don't really think they really buy into the reviews that much, unless it's like something huge, like Concord or something. That that's pretty obvious to like most people why that game is pretty bad. But like something like Mario & Luigi Brothership that only has been slightly controversial in the grand scheme of things in the reviews, I really don't think that's gonna affect the sales that much, honestly. Like, that really is only affecting like the people who are like kind of looking into the reviews a lot, or like people who are like heavily into it. I don't really think that's gonna change that much about like the casual sales of this game. So I really don't think that's something to be worried about. And the specific sales data is also way too specific to judge any of that off of, especially because this is from Japan. Like, I doubt that the IGN review or like any of these other things that I mentioned impacted this specific sales figure. Like, I think that's really just buying into it too much. I really don't think that's like too much to look into. It really just seems like there's just like a lot of negativity kind of surrounding this, and I feel like a lot of the doom posting about this kind of spread off of like all the other controversy that was kind of building off of Mario & Luigi Brothership. But yeah, I really hope this game has a good legacy. It really deserves it from what I've played. I know a lot of Switch games that can kind of have like a rocky start at first are kind of well received in the end. So we'll just have to see. But another one that did have some controversy as well is Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. I have covered some of it in the past, but I did want to kind of summarize it here since we are a few months after the fact, so I don't think it's as controversial now. Most people agree that the Thousand Year Door remake is excellent, and it is one of the best Mario RPGs of all time. I see usually at the top of most people's tier lists. It's absolutely my favorite game of all time, and I don't think there's that much controversy about it now that people have actually played it, but I do think it is worth mentioning because it kind of does tie into the fact that this Mario RPG renaissance kind of had a rocky start to it. But this game, like I said, yeah, it's very well received, one of the highest scoring Mario RPGs on Metacritic, but a lot of this controversy has been about a lot of minuscule things. One thing that some people have been making a huge issue about is this game's censorship. And I can understand why censorship can be an issue in some areas. I think preserving the dialogue's original intention can be important and is really like integral to making the experience as authentic as possible, but it's not a huge issue when it's only changed in small areas. Like with the Goomba catcalling scene, for example. People made a huge fuss out of that. like before the game launched, like when some of the preview footage was coming out. It's really only a major issue when they change major plot points or story details, which the Thousand Year Door remake did not do at all. However, the reason why this game's censorship was controversial wasn't really due to the censorship itself. It was mostly because of grifter channels making this into a controversy to find something to complain about, to push their engagement and viewers up. Like, cause they post these videos all the time, and they find every single ounce of something that they can complain about. I don't want to go too depth into it, because it almost gets political to a point, and I don't really want to discuss those details, especially with how stressful things can be. But they really like to take any issue that they can kind of twist into something, and they rage bait off of it. They rage bait, and they get a ton of engagement off of it. There's really no denying it. I know it's a really crappy practice, but that's what they do. That's what they've been doing for almost every major game release that has some kind of little minuscule thing in it. But, and you can even see why censorship wasn't a thing that they really cared about, because they also complained about Vivian with how they preserved her identity to be accurate to the Japanese version in the remake. So it's really about these games fitting their ideology rather than actually being about censorship. But this did have an influence on quite a lot of people. Like, I remember I got a ton of hate comments on the video saying it wasn't a huge deal. It really wasn't, but I feel like the way I've worded some things, like saying there wasn't any censorship at all, yeah, I can understand why that was a little bit misleading, because there technically is censorship to a degree. There really is censorship in every game, you can't avoid it. But yeah, I feel like that a lot of those like hate comments are kind of crazy and was kind of manufactured by a lot of these rage bait channels. But I don't want to go too far into that. I feel like everyone kind of has their mind made up about this game now, and I can't really change it at this point. And it already has been doing really well, and it really didn't have a huge impact on it because most people are enjoying the game. But yeah. And another thing that was brought up before the game's launch was the fact that the game was 30 FPS. And I can understand the criticism behind that, but I don't think it was that huge of an issue. I understand that the original was 60, and it was a little disappointing for some people, like with the fact that this game had a lower frame rate than the original. But keep in mind that this is a remake on a completely different engine, on the Origami King engine, nonetheless, which was a game that ran in 30 FPS on the Switch. So that's kind of how it's optimized on the Switch. So yeah, I can understand why it is a little annoying, but it really didn't impact my playing experience that much. I do still feel like these are the superior game, like this is the superior game to the original. It is absolutely excellent throughout. I played through the game twice, and I'm on a third playthrough, which I will be continuing the update with my Let's Play series of this game. But the fact that it's 30 FPS, just a little annoying, but it really wasn't something to make a huge deal about. And then finally, there was quite a lot of doom posting about the sales of this game, not exactly selling as well as a lot of people wanted to. Currently, it sold 1.94 million, which does seem low to a lot of people, because a lot of people have high expectations. They were expecting this game to sell 3 to 4 million, which, now looking back, I can understand why it didn't immediately sell that well. Because Origami King, when that game sold really well, that was during the pandemic, and it was also kind of due to the fact that the Switch was selling really well at the time as well. That's when Animal Crossing New Horizons released, which is also one of the best-selling Switch games now. So that game selling well kind of made sense. So I think we have to keep in mind that the Thousand Year Door remake was released kind of towards the end of the Switch's lifespan, and is also a remake as well. I know that's not really going to change things too much, but it still has like some a little bit of influence on that. So yeah, I don't think it was really, like, super realistic to expect this game to outsell Origami King, even though that would have been nice. I honestly don't think Nintendo was expecting this game to outsell Origami King, since it's a remake and all the other reasons that I mentioned. This game was probably successful to Nintendo. I feel like they still considered it a success, even though it didn't sell as much as we would have hoped it would have sold. And looking at another example of like a game that didn't sell as well but kind of contributed to the next game in the series, Mario Party Superstars. Like, that game brought back the classic Mario Party formula in full, and then Jamboree built off of that. So for people kind of worried that the next Paper Mario game won't be in the classic direction again, or will just be like another modern Paper Mario game, I think that's a kind of a standout example there with Mario Party. I feel like Nintendo isn't only gauging one game selling more than another to kind of dictate what formula the next game will have. So yeah, there has definitely been a lot of controversy surrounding a lot of these games. The only game that really hasn't out of this Mario RPG renaissance is Super Mario RPG. Though even then, that game did kind of have a little bit of controversy with the name changes. Though I think that was just kind of a minuscule thing. That was mostly something that people were joking about, so I don't think that was really worth mentioning in this video. But yeah, even though this has been a great comeback of the Mario RPGs, it has been a little disappointing that there have been so much controversy surrounding some of these games. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Twitter if you want to. Goodbye.